Santa's a robot.
You're listening to a mostly harmless cutaway.
Mostly harmless. Mostly harmless? Oh, come. I think that's pretty good coverage for a disintegrated pile of rubble.
Hi, this is Eric.
This is Josh.
This is Sean. This is Carl.
And this is Caleb.
And welcome back to Mostly Harmless Cutaway, episode 172, and probably around the 257th item on the feed. But we are finally back with a brand new episode of Doctor Who that will probably release within 1 year of airing.
I was going to say 2026, right?
Coming out Saturday.
Let's not play that game again. Even though our last posted episode on the feed was recorded in 2014, the fall of 2014.
Oh boy, that's brutal.
But I'm sure this will be out in a timely manner. And of course, we're going to talk about the new episode, the first full episode to be simulcast or simul-streamed, available on Disney Plus in almost everywhere in the world except for the UK and Ireland. But it is time for The Star Beast.
So, quick question. I just want, before we get into the critical stuff, I heard that MEEP is from the comics, but I saw something on Facebook where it was like, it was a Fourth Doctor comic. Was the story that we see on the show the same as in the comic?
I have an answer for you.
Yes, sir.
And it's a two-part answer. Because the first part I kind of already heard bandied about amongst certain fan corners, but then the second part I stumbled upon on my own. Okay, so the history of this story, The Star Beast, that most people are aware of, is that it was based on a Doctor Who magazine comic strip that was the fourth ever Doctor Who comic story. And
oh my goodness.
I was doing Ed McMahon right
published
now.
in 1980.
For your younger viewers.
Written by Pat Mills and John Wagner, who later went on to write some Big Finish stories. Mm-hmm. It was also published by Marvel, and the illustrations were done by a very popular illustrator in the comic book world, which is Dave Gibbons, who was...
He does The Watchmen, right?
Exactly. He was the artist who did the very famous limited DC comic, The Watchmen.
You are correct, say.
And it was Fourth Doctor.
Yes, it was Fourth Doctor, and also with K9. And they actually met a new companion in this story for the comic book Doctor Who world. So the story was essentially the same. Okay, obviously take out 10, Donna, her family,
right.
And all that meta-crisis stuff. But everything else, like a child finding the MEEP and the Doctor coming along, and then the other alien race, all that stuff is essentially the same as the comic book story.
Okay.
Except the girl, Sharon, who was the young girl who kind of took in the MEEP in the comic, she went on further adventures in the comics with the Doctor, but she also was the first companion of color that ever existed in Doctor Who in any form, like book, comic, whatever.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So it's a bunch of firsts.
Sharon.
And she actually, and I saw a comic image of Sharon, and she actually looked somewhat similar to Rose in the episode.
Well, that's interesting.
I have this poster on my wall. I bet you she's on there.
Yeah, if anyone has the comic from IDW, Doctor Who Classics, the Omnibus, Volume 1, yeah, that story's in there. And I skimmed through it. I didn't read the whole thing, but I skimmed through the first, the first 3 pages of the thing. Because it is done in little...
It's not a terribly new idea, though.
Well, yes. So second part...
Because even there's been a Doctor Who that's been similar to that. I mean, probably a Doctor Who nobody ever saw, which was Galaxy 4.
Yes, but second part of my answer to Sean is, and this I stumbled upon randomly on my own, there's actually a novel, The Star Beast, from 1954. And at first I thought it was nothing notable until I saw who the author was. I may mispronounce his name, but he's famous. I'm sure sci-fi readers have heard of Robert Heinlein,
Yep.
of Star Trooper fame and many, many other things, Stranger in a Strange Land, etc. He actually wrote this novel. It was originally released in serialized form.
What the hell?
And it is largely the same story. Like,
So basically, they copied it. They plagiarized.
Yeah, they had to. There's no way. There's way too many parallels to the original Heinlein story.
Yeah, this is a flashback to early RTD when he would adapt from Big Finish. I mean, even calling this the Star Beast, the original story was called Doctor Who and the Star Beast.
But it's not just
So
that.
it's going back to his roots.
The original authors plagiarized it.
Yeah, or inspired by, quote unquote.
Oh, I see what you're saying, yes.
Except in the original story, the alien was called the Lummox. And it sort of resembled like a space version of like the Loch Ness Monster or something.
Yeah, I guess it works better as sort of a cute, plush toy like creature.
Yeah, and this kid tries to keep the Lummox as a pet, but eventually the Lummox is part of this Hiroshi royal family, this alien species, and the alien species comes to Earth trying to get like their descendant back or something.
All right, so that's a little bit different.
Hold on, spoiler for the. I like the twist in the original version was you learn that the kid who was taking care of the Lummox as a pet, turns out the Lummox was keeping the kid as a pet. And that's like the twist.
Oh no, corny Heinlein. Is this one of his earlier books?
Well, 1954. So
okay, yeah, a little bit.
So yeah,
Heinlein.
I'm surprised I didn't see this mentioned anywhere else though. Like the connection.
Yeah, because nobody knows history anyway behind like 2014. So I'm not surprised. But the Galaxy 4 reference I just brought up earlier, it had to do with the fact that you had these Amazon women, beautiful women, who were out there, and then you had the ugly Rills, and it turns out the Rills were really good, and the beautiful women were terrible. I mean, so it's been done. It's been done.
Yeah, it's been done in many. I mean, I swear to God, don't ask me details, but I remember there was a He-Man Masters of the Universe episode about that. And that was the big lesson at the end. Even though they look beautiful, they were the evil companions to Skeletor. And, even like, even in movies,
It's a story as old as time, apparently.
Yeah, I was even wondering if maybe the Heinlein novel, like perhaps inspired E.T. I was kind of thinking that.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they've been talking about E.T. as if the Star Beast actually, was created E.T., and that's not true. Nobody read the Star Beast.
No, I really don't think so. Or not the Doctor Who version.
No.
Yeah, I doubt that. So here we are, back to the Star Beast. I kind of don't really want to give my opinion or take as one of the first offerings. I'm really more curious to hear like Josh, Sean, and Caleb.
I'm curious what Carl has.
And not
think.
Carl?
Yeah.
How about Carl? Carl's here.
Because I'm saving him for like the end.
You're saving him?
Oh, okay.
I guess Carl usually does like to wait to the end, but I was planning to do that this time, so.
I'll do it. Okay. First of all, I just got to say, ladies and gentlemen, we got Doctor Who back. I no longer, think of it as a chore to watch the next episode, which I'm definitely going to watch as soon as I possibly can. It gave me chills, not because the story was perfect or, it wasn't the next Don't Blink. But it was, I could just feel how different it was. And it wasn't just because of Catherine Tate and David Tennant, although they kind of helped. But it just had that feeling. And I think just having the companions' family, how RTD would have, everything was, a family gathering, no matter all of his companions.
The domestic stuff.
Yeah, it was probably that made me feel like this. I have to say, Meep was not looking forward to that, and I do agree he was a little muppety. I'm sorry,
Wait a
Meep.
minute, Sean. How do you know it's a male?
Don't. I just said this. I was just going to say, sorry, Meep, not he or she. It's the definite article. Yeah, Meep was a little muppety, but I enjoyed it, and it didn't go. I'm trying to. It had the potential of going over the rails, like with the what are those little things from Star Wars? The Porgs? Is it Porgs?
Yeah.
Oh
I
no.
believe
I
so.
Yeah.
fucking hate those things so much. Hey, Porgs.
Aw.
Or the little things from Partner in Crime.
Oh, those are. Yeah.
little-
Adipose.
But I think the trans thing was handled beautifully. That was handled.
Which part? Which part?
Oh my god! You know, people are going to.
Which part was handled beautifully?
The trans part. It wasn't a hammer over the head. It was subtle. I thought it would. Well, wait. There was a bit. No, it wouldn't have meant. No, that wasn't there at all. Although I do have a question about that. But
You didn't think you? I'm sorry. You thought it was subtle?
yeah, it really was.
I didn't think it was subtle at all. I think it nailed. It was like a hammer on top of my head
I
about the
disagree.
trans thing.
I disagree totally.
Yeah, I didn't necessarily feel that either.
I mean, literally, you had boys dead naming her.
Yeah, that was a bit much. There was a couple things that they handled a little bit awkwardly, but there's only a couple moments I felt.
And the Sylvia thing about like you're gorgeous and stuff like that. Like, am I supposed to say that? I mean, it was like hammered over the head, in a big way.
I don't know. I know there's numerous instances that you're bringing up, Josh, but I wouldn't say all of them felt like a hammer to me.
Yeah, but this is still Sean's initial thought.
All right, maybe not a hammer, but like a
Yeah, keep it going, Sean. Keep your initial thoughts going. We'll get to this.
yeah. Keep going, Sean.
All right. Thank you. I feel that not a lot of time was spent on it. Okay, let me put it that way. I don't feel like her character was all about being trans, although that was obviously part of her identity. I would like to see more of her. She was probably. I thought she was going to go with her mom in the TARDIS. She did not. But I think the rising star in this whole thing is Catherine Tate as Donna. She was hilarious. I don't think I've ever seen her this funny in Doctor Who before. I always thought that there were times when she was just kind of annoying because she tries to do like a lot of visual stuff that doesn't work. But here it was just like her sardonic sense of humor was shining through. There's also the part where she's in the Rose's shack and she sees Meep and she pokes him in the eye and he goes, ah! and then she goes, what the hell? I just laughed for like 3 minutes straight because just the way she responded was just, I don't know. To me, it sounded like it was like the tone of holy shit, but it was what the hell? It was like angry. It wasn't like goofy, like, I don't know, Benny Hill or something doing it. So, yeah. What else? The story was pretty good. I remain optimistic, but I don't buy all the cheer and pop and circumstance that's popping up on YouTube where they have all these specials about this and that. I'm like, oh God, stop it. I feel like I'm being talked down when I see stuff like that.
Are you talking about the BBC specials or fan-made specials?
The BBC specials.
Okay.
Like, hi, I'm so-and-so. Let me take you into the big wide world of Doctor Who. And, David Tennant's jumping around and being cute in every radio and TV show. It kind of annoys me. But that's marketing.
Yeah. But I was going to ask, before you end your initial thoughts, did you have any thoughts on David Tennant here for the start of it?
Oh, yeah, I thought he was fine. I think he's brought it back very easily. He slipped into it like an old pair of shoes, just like, the classic Doctors when they do Big Finish, And don't forget that he has been doing Big Finish himself, so it's not like, the last time when he did the character was 10 years ago. Would it be 10 years ago? Yeah, Day of the Doctor. So
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think he was more subdued.
A little bit. He felt a little bit older.
I felt like I felt like he was more subdued.
Yeah, I guess Josh, do you want to give your initial thoughts?
Yeah. So, first of all, I want to just echo what Sean said earlier. In that it's great to watch Doctor Who again. Did feel like Doctor Who, 100%, versus the previous few years, and that was a joy. So from that standpoint, I appreciate RTD and what he's bringing to the table, because it does sort of bring us back to the initial stages of Classic Who, of New Who, not Classic Who,
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
of New Who, and that's great. The MEEP, I mean, it's fine. I mean, we had Partners in Crime. I brought that up earlier. It's fine. The whole process around that is okay. I just felt like some of it was a little cheap. Like, we're not supposed to talk to Donna, but we're talking to Donna at every single point we possibly can. We're not, because Donna's going to die. Never felt like Donna was going to die, not even for a moment.
No.
And from that, from that standpoint, like, all that stuff from earlier, like, it just doesn't mean anything anymore. So I thought he got out of that very quickly. The reasoning behind it was fine. I didn't mind the reasoning. What I minded was the speeches about a male presenting doctor and how they know everything and you know nothing. All that stuff was just kind of garbagey, kind of unnecessary dialogue that didn't need to be there. The MEEP versus the crazy creatures was great. I thought that was handled very, very well. The monsters looked like they could have been in Classic Who. So maybe it's a good idea to put those types of monsters into a 60th anniversary special. Sonic Screwdriver does a whole hell of a lot now.
Oh yeah.
A lot more than I would expect a Sonic Screwdriver to do.
Yeah, magic wand.
I mean, if he came out with like an iPad or something, I would have bought in a lot more than I do with what he was able to do with his Sonic. Creating shields. I mean, at this point, if you can create shields, then I expect there to be shields every single freaking episode.
Yeah.
So, like, that was, I think, a little bit beyond the pale, unnecessary. I mean, necessary for the plot, but unnecessary for the Sonic Screwdriver. And, yeah, I mean, overall, it felt very Doctor Who. I did like Ruth Madeley as a scientific advisor. I love that conversation that they had where I mentioned how it was subdued earlier. Like, I really felt that was like a subdued conversation, like beautiful. The way that was directed. And again, Rachel Talalay, spectacular, really good.
Yeah, chef's kiss to her all the way.
She can't do anything wrong as far as I'm concerned. So, from that standpoint, I think it worked out great.
Josh, when you come to visit, we'll watch Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3. Directed by Rachel Talalay.
No, she did Part 6.
Oh, Part 6. Sorry. Okay.
Which is terrible start for her directing career. Freddy's Dead. The Final Nightmare.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, and it, in any case, anything she's done in Doctor Who has been fantastic. Let's just say that. Overall, okay. Like, good. Again, I love Catherine Tate and David Tennant. Both had amazing comebacks. Like, I love David Tennant as a 52-year-old man. A doctor I can certainly follow. I wish he was there for longer. He would play a great doctor for a while if he could have. But, overall, okay. Pretty good. Don't really like the overindulgence of RTD with messaging here. I didn't need much more than what I saw. And, frankly, Yasmin Finney as a 15-year-old girl, I'm kind of not buying. She looks 20. She doesn't look 15.
Wow, she's supposed to be 15? I didn't get
She's
that.
supposed to be 15. I'm just not buying it. Like, it just doesn't feel right to me.
Yeah, I think they did that. I don't know. I'm just guessing they chose that age because they were trying to make it plausible that she would have been born around, like,
yes,
just after she was married in the series.
You're definitely right, but it's a hell of a stretch.
Yeah, this isn't the 90s anymore. Yeah. Can't get away with that.
She looks like a fully formed human to me. In any case, that my only issue really was the overindulgence of the message, which was, I believe, unnecessary. Because I kind of got it. I got it already. You don't need to shove it down my throat. That's what I thought. Who's next?
Oh, gee.
Carl?
Caleb.
Carl, are you interested in going next?
Well, go ahead. You got this.
Okay, well, I guess for any new listeners, I'll lay out my my point of view with new Doctor Who, which unfortunately affects my viewing for this one. So again, started with classic Who as a kid. When RTD rebooted the series, I could never see what he saw in his version of Doctor Who that he put out then, and continues to put out a very similar product here. The whole Dr. Donna thing at the end of series 4 I thought was terrible at the time, and the fact that so much of this surrounds that conflict I thought was just not a fresh place to be. So a lot of that stuff I found obnoxious. I do love Catherine Tate, so seeing her back was great. Some of the bits that Sean highlighted I thought were very funny by her, or her screaming about her house getting destroyed. A lot of that was fun. I never cared for the domestic life of the companions, so I try my best to appreciate the performances that we get here. I think the actor or the actress playing Donna's mom I think is really good, but I'm just not interested in these characters. I could not care less about Donna's family, unfortunately. In RTD's style, I think is just a weird writer all around, and there's a lot of stuff here that I find bothersome. I didn't like the whole tendrils of the earth opening up and lava being down there. I think it was lava, and then all of a sudden it gets fixed. Like, why do you put that in there? Just for some added bombast?
Caleb, you know what that was? That was the budget.
Yeah, I guess
that was the budget, because this is the biggest budget Doctor Who you'll ever see. Until the next one, of course.
Which it did help with the opening title sequence. I thought that looked great. I really appreciated that.
Oh, we'll talk more about that a little bit later.
Yeah, let's talk more about that.
Sure. But if I was going to pick, if my usual podcast co-host Isaac was here, he would make me do my best thing and my worst thing of the episode. And my best would be Catherine Tate. My worst would most definitely be my usual kicking post anytime I talk about new Doctor Who, and that's Murray Gold. Boy, I just do not like this guy at all. I think his instincts are so corny. He picks so many embarrassing themes here. He always tries to amp it up and be manipulative with how he wants you to feel. And I can always feel his hand just poking me in the back.
Okay, we'll call up Kev McCullough. Maybe he'll do the...
I'll take Kev. I will 100% take Kev.
No!
I'd like some Dudley Simpson, if all possible. I know he's probably dead, but...
Where's Patty Kingsland? I'll take him too.
Patty Kingsland.
But for David Tennant, I was hoping that they would differentiate more and make it feel like this was a new Doctor, not just the same one again, just a little bit older. And I'm hoping that we'll see more of that as the specials go on. But for this one, it did kind of feel strange. It almost felt like a cheap kind of marketing tactic. Oh, the fans didn't really like Jodie. Let's quickly bring in David Tennant and let's remind them that they love this show, so they'll keep watching. And I'm not buying in because I didn't love his era. So
fair enough.
So that's kind of where I'm at.
It's a great marketing tool, though.
That's true. Yeah. There's some bits to talk about that I definitely like here, but overall, I might be one of the more negative ones for this episode.
Interesting. Well, but also so far, yeah. I'm happy with Sean's reaction, and then Josh's and Caleb's reactions were more or less what I expected. For myself, I rather quite liked it, actually. Not my favorite episode of New Who ever, or anything like that, but if we consider this like an episode 1 of a new series of New Who, I like it more than, or it's probably middle of the pack if we're just talking about New Who premiere episodes.
Compare it to the Jodie era, just directly.
Well, hold on. Yeah, obviously, I mean, that's kind of probably most people's reactions to this story in general, is that it definitely feels like an RTD episode in modern day clothing. And you guys mostly mentioned a lot of the reasons why, not just the returning actors and actresses. But for me, while this wasn't a great or special Murray Gold score for an episode,
Oof.
the fact that it was Murray Gold, though, and that was very apparent, that added to my sensation or feel of going back to the RTD or Moffat era. So that for me really aided me to come back to it and thinking, oh yeah, this very much reminds me of the earlier 10 years of New Who. And so that was a good thing. Because it probably would have felt strange if they had retained the composer from the Jodie era and layered it on top of this story. That probably would have been a really, I don't know, weird sensation.
Yeah, add him too. I'll take Segan Akinola any day of the week over Murray Gold.
I'm sure you would.
Yeah, disagree there, but that's okay.
In terms of the political stuff from RTD that comes out of this episode, that too, I was just thinking as Josh was talking about it, to me, it feels similar to how RTD would include political themes during his initial run. It's just 2023 now. So to me, it didn't seem like more or less from RTD. It just seemed adjusted for the current times, or probably whatever the current political landscape is like if you live in the UK.
Really?
I don't know. What do you mean, really?
I didn't see this from 2005 to 2010 anywhere near this.
No, to me, it's similar, but
I mean, hell, Davros was in a wheelchair.
No, I understand. And I already had my thoughts on that. That will be out in the feed. Where I like this a lot more than the Children Need Special, but that's a separate topic. But no, I'm not saying it's the same as what RTD was doing 2005 through 2010. I'm saying if you adjust it for modern times. So the way the political messaging felt to me circa 2006, that's what this felt like to me circa 2023. So it's not equal, like side by side, but in terms of like just the way things are at the time that these things are coming out, it tracks in that way for me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it only makes sense if you believe that in 2023 we have to include the message in everything, in every single franchise. That there needs to be a social activist message in everything that is in sci-fi or Marvel or DCU or everything else. If you believe that that's the case because it's 2023, then yeah, I agree with you. Definitely was.
No, that's not what I'm saying, though.
Yeah.
Because I'm not saying that messaging has to be in any year. But what I'm saying is the messaging we're getting this story in 2023 feels to me like the messaging adjusted for time, the messaging we were getting back in 2006 relative to 2006.
Like, can you give an example of messaging we were getting in 2006?
I guess something like, this is just off the top of my head, so it's going to sound really basic, but just the fact that, of course, Rose has a black boyfriend, like right off the bat.
Every couple was mixed. Every couple was mixed.
For sure.
Everyone almost.
And also, I don't want to go through the litany, but back during RTD's time, when people would talk about the gay agenda or whatever, it's just those things were relevant to 2006 or that time frame, and this just feels like the equivalent for the time we're living in now. I'm not saying I like it. I'm not saying I need it, but I don't feel like RTD has personally ramped up. Like I want more messaging than I have. No, it feels congruent to the times that we're in.
Yeah. And didn't he have Cassandra, the just skin on a slab? Wasn't that character trans as well? I mean, he was always fitting it in as much as he could.
Definitely said that the character was a boy.
Yeah, prior.
But it really wasn't part of the story. It was just a throwaway line.
Sure. And again, that's like more how they would do it in 2006. Or like the little person in the Titanic episode. And just those things. It's just, obviously, times have changed. And again, especially, I suppose, if you're in the UK as well. So yeah, so it made sense. It's like how money's adjusted for inflation. I felt like RTD was adjusted for inflation in terms of the messaging.
You're right. Social activism has adjusted for inflation. There's no doubt about that.
But it wasn't. But I felt it was like you were talking about hammer or on the nose. It felt more that way to me in the Jodie era in general. Not every single episode or anything like that, but in Jodie's episodes in general, the message would just be sitting there. The thing that was nice about this that I was not expecting was that the messaging would play into the actual story. I was very not expecting that, and I actually liked it, and I actually thought it was well done.
I need to say this. I know my time is over.
No, it's okay.
But there were a lot. I know a handful of trans people on Facebook, and more than one of them said that it made them cry. It was very important for them to be represented in what I know is their favorite show.
Yeah, I've seen some of that too.
Yeah, and I thought that was pretty cool. So.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. But I really liked that it actually integrated into the story by the end. I know some of those lines in the reveal were a little bit corny, but that didn't really bother me at all. I just thought, oh, look at that. Okay. And I thought, okay, I'm on board with this now. Because before I just felt like, oh, it's the RTD messaging. I mean, when it was just earlier in the episode. But by the end, I was like, you know what? No, if you're going to do it, I don't mind you doing it this way. So I was cool with that. I also, going into this, I haven't been keeping up with any of the BBC promotion. I didn't know anything about this story other than the poster art that they had created, which I did not really like, the poster art. The poster art looked to me like an RTD episode I'm not going to like.
It looked to me like
just go on the poster.
It looked like Big Finish to me.
Yeah, you're right.
Reminded me of like pompous, rompy RTD episodes from the past, and so I thought that's what I was going to get again. But it does have a little bit of that, but it wasn't that bad to me. So I hadn't even seen a trailer or anything for this episode or any other stories coming, and so because the thing I didn't like on the poster was just seeing the MEEP. Like it felt like we're going to do like a Sarah Jane Chronicle. No shade to that show, but it felt like it was going to be a Sarah Jane adventure or something. But not really. It isn't. And I had no idea about the twist that was going to happen with the MEEP. And when it did, that was another thing I really liked because I did not suspect or feel it coming at all. So that gave me bonus points on the story. The MEEP itself, I mistakenly thought that throughout almost the whole episode that it was all CG created. Oh. And so when I was watching it in 4K, I was like, this is some of the most incredible television CG for a character I have ever seen. And I was just staring at it like, my God, the fur looks so real. Like, this is crazy. The only time where the MEEP effect didn't look its best is when it started having the evil face. Yeah. Because then that looks CG. But other than that, I thought, this is damn remarkable. Is this Disney money? Like, is this what is happening? I have since learned that it was actually a practical costume with an actor inside on set with just CG facial expressions. That makes so much more sense now. But the fact that I couldn't tell until I learned that, I actually... So I thought I was going to see, based on the poster, I thought I was going to see something on screen that looked like the Slovene in terms of effects work. And
can I just say that the MEEP was voiced by Miriam Margolyes?
Yes.
Who was in Harry Potter.
Yes.
It was created by J.K. Rowling.
Oh, dear.
Who hates trans people.
Oh, yeah, let's not go here.
That kind of cancels everything out.
Oh, dear.
By the way, just since you mentioned those Slovene, yeah, the first ever episode of New Doctor Who that I saw was the second half of that Farting Aliens 2-parter.
Oh, dear.
I kept missing the episodes. I was like, oh, finally I caught one. And then I watched it and I was like, oh, wow, this is what they turned Doctor Who in, to this disgusting joke. And I was so repelled that I didn't tune back in for several weeks. Then the next one I caught was The Long Game and then Boomtown.
Yeah.
And I was like, nope, fuck this new Doctor Who.
The first episode of World War III was the first episode of New Who revival that I did not like. But anyway.
By the way, Caleb, I thought that after seeing Rose.
Yeah.
And I didn't watch it for like a year or two. Yeah.
I liked Rose. But
yeah, Rose is terrible too.
I'm glad you brought up the J.K. Rowling thing, though, because you reminded me of something I wanted to say about the original Star Beast story by Heinlein in the novel. I thought it was interesting that the Lummox, which was the MEEP in his story, when his family comes to try to bring him back to their world, the family is explaining to the humans that the Lummox is approximately female because their alien species actually has 6 sexes. And I just thought it was interesting that was actually an element.
Yeah, no, that is interesting.
Like the sexuality of the creature was actually an element in the original story in 1954.
Oh, so that makes the pronouns joke here a little bit more interesting if they looked at that novel. Yeah.
Yes, I agree. I was so shocked that was actually in the original 1950s text. Like, how progressive is that?
Yeah, those activist writers back then.
Well, I mean, RTD, actually pulled that definite article from the classic story Robot.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, that was a nudge, Easter egg, wink, wink.
Yeah, I thought, yeah, definitely, because the Doctor says, "Oh, I do that."
I mean, it's one of several Easter eggs. I mean, the other obvious one being David Tennant pulling the wig out of his coat.
Oh God!
And putting it on his head. That was like Stones of Blood.
We'll talk about that with the return of the.
But speaking of that scene again, since you brought it up, Josh, the one that you were critical of when the Doctor has to get put in his place on proper pronoun usage, I actually was sort of okay with the scene because
that's not the one I was upset about, by the way.
Well, which one was it specifically? You said
it was more about the scene at the end when they could let go of the energy, and
yes.
It's more about like the male presenting Time Lord. That particular set of dialogue, I think, was unnecessary.
Well, what I'm reacting to now is a little combination of both scenes, and because with both of them, I was like, yeah, on the one hand, I'm with you, Josh. Like it's kind of weird to tell someone like the Doctor, who is so multifaceted. I know he's in a new form, but it's kind of weird to tell him that. But what I liked about the scene, or both scenes, is the way the Doctor or David Tennant responded and just took it in stride.
Yeah,
that actually saves both scenes for me, because it reminds me of me walking around in my daily life, and I run into younger people of younger generations, and sometimes they just say whatever they say, whether it's an opinion or whatever, something that sounds a little bit loony to me in my older age.
Mm-hmm.
But, I'm generally non-confrontational or anything like that in real life. And I kind of usually react kind of like how David Tennant's Doctor did, which is like, oh yeah, quite right. Or,
David Tennant's Doctor reacted the way Russell T Davies' script wanted him to react.
Well, I don't know what that means.
Sure, it doesn't matter.
I don't know what that means either.
I mean,
You don't think that the David Tennant Doctor from the original run would be understanding and respectful to people?
Possibly, but the point is that all of what was said during that particular scene was over the top and unnecessary, in my view.
I know, I hear you. But regardless of how
you could have had that whole scene done, with Donna being able to survive because she had the non-binary child or whatever it is. All of that could have been fine, but you had to throw that piece in, and that was trolling. Pure and simple trolling by RTD, knowing what he was facing up against and making sure that he really, really hit the puck into the full goal and didn't think much about it. Just basically said, "Yeah, this will get people pissed off."
Well, okay, hold on.
Well, let's actually stop for Eric. Let's stop for a minute, because I just realized we're 46 minutes in and we still haven't asked Carl's initial thoughts.
Hold on. I just got to respond because the moment will be lost. No, because I sorry,
Carl.
It's all right.
Sorry, children.
Sorry, children.
No, I never thought I'd be defending RTD today, but here we go. Obviously, I totally get what you're saying, Josh, on the last thing you just said about RTD purposely putting that there to troll people or whatever. While I have accused RTD of trolling before in other instances that don't relate to this story, I don't feel like that particular thing is a trolling moment for RTD, because at least what I'm thinking right now is it kind of reminds me of how I think about making podcasts that we publish. Is I try to make a podcast that I want to listen to. I try to imagine who that listener would be, and that's how I kind of go. And I kind of think that's probably what RTD is doing in this moment and many other moments of his tenure as showrunner. Yeah, I do.
Really?
I do. Yes, I really do.
So in other words, sorry, Carl. I'll end it here. I'm not going to talk about this anymore. I think that was a shunt to some of the old fans and people who are, are willing to accept, trans people, and I'm certainly willing to accept it. But what I'm not willing to accept is the anti-male or anti-white male messages that are being sent out through these franchises.
I see what you're saying.
I'm not willing to accept any of those. I think it was a troll, and he didn't need to use that. He didn't need to say it, but it gave him a lot of pleasure to do so. And I'm shocked, actually, that everybody's sitting there okay with it when it was clearly a statement on men.
Can you repeat?
Straight white men, very specifically straight white men.
What was it that? What was the line? I'm so sorry, I don't remember.
It had to do with the fact that the Doctor was again a male and not a female like he was prior, and basically they said you don't know anything, you don't understand because you are a male presenting Doctor.
Yeah,
and I would have you listen. I think you should go back and watch it.
I've watched it twice myself. I don't know if you're talking to Sean.
No, I'm saying to Sean, because if you didn't catch that was basically just a shunt off of every straight white male in the audience, and this has been happening for years. For years, this has been happening where it's the straight.
What was the Doctor's? Wait, what was
the straight? He didn't. His reaction was nothing. He looked at them. That was it. He did not react.
Yeah, he said something like "fair enough" or something like that.
That's what Eric was saying. Is that he did not react.
Yeah. But again,
and I'm gonna leave it there. I'm not gonna respond any further because nothing's gonna change my mind on this. It was clearly an RTG troll.
No, that's fine, and I totally hear you. And just for the record, I just want to just make my position clear. I can totally see how you take it that way and how many people could, and that's fine. I mean, I get it. And I've definitely felt that trolling, that type of specific trolling more pointedly in other things outside of Doctor Who or what we're talking about right now. But just personally for me, I can see how it can be read that way, but I didn't take it that way. Again, I'm more in the frame of mind that I think it was less of a troll and more of I'm playing to my crowd and what I would like to see, meaning RTD, what he would like to see in the program. I think that's more of what's going on with that particular line in that particular scene. And then again, I think my opinion right now reflects what I was saying, how I generally am in regular life, which is people will say things. It doesn't even have to be about trans or anything like that. People will say things that I strongly disagree with, or I think are opinions that are coming from another planet or something. But it's not just an effect I put on or affect I put on. I just go, okay. And I just roll with it. Cause that's generally how I am with things. So that's all I'm saying. And like I said, I've sensed these things before in other IPs and properties, but this didn't feel like that to me. So I was cool with it. I think I got most of my initial thoughts. Obviously I have other thoughts, but I will go ahead and hand it over now to Carl.
Sorry, Carl. 51 minutes later.
That's all right. That's all right. And the reason is I'm having trouble coalescing my feelings about this episode, and I was hoping that you all were going to say something that would allow me to summarize it in a way that brought a little bit more clarity to it, and I still don't quite have it yet. So I'm just going to have to buckshot it, and we'll see what happens in terms of.
Okay, I'll
Yeah,
just I'll just soapbox for another grandstand for another 50
Oh,
minutes.
here we go.
No, please don't. Oh no, Carl,
I'm
please.
joking. I'm joking.
All right. Well, the general consensus, I do agree. It felt like modern Doctor Who in a way that we have not seen in a while. My favorite Doctors are Baker, Tennant, Capaldi, in that order. So to have Tennant back when I never
Colin or Tom? No, I'm just kidding. Sorry, just kidding.
when I
Just
never thought I was going to get to see Tennant back as the Doctor again. That by itself, it was just a visceral reward. I don't care that it was cheap and that we're not going to get to see him in more than a couple episodes and they're just trying to bring us back. I was just so happy to see him again. And there is an energy and an urgency that they brought back that I have missed. There was the constant running, there was the constant talking over each other, and there was an impetus to the story that sadly we have not seen a lot of, and it was good to get back to this. There was this is happening, this is happening, this is happening, and you just barely have a chance to wrap your mind around what's going on. That aspect of it was so playful, and like I said, with Tennant at the helm, it really brought back something that I have missed in modern Who of late. So this is not my favorite episode, for many reasons, and we'll talk about various aspects of it. Not my favorite, don't really like MEEP and all of that kind of stuff, but just to get back in this energy space with Who, just felt incredible to me. And I, that much I truly, truly enjoyed, and I thought was so much fun. So, right away, that it pulled me in right away. Again, I hadn't seen anything about what the episode was about. I didn't know what to expect. So that was that's that part of it. I'm not the hugest Donna fan, and what was going on with Donna and the Doctor. I had a problem with it because I really like Doctor Who. I mean, the Doctor, and I particularly like Tennant, and her just constantly laying into him all the time. Well, it was not something that I thought was particularly endearing, but at the same time, once again, to see the banter back, and Donna was funny in this episode. She really, brought something that was familiar, but I thought was more mature than we had seen of her in this episode. And so again, I was like, wow, I felt like we were coming home with a lot of Doctor Who stuff in this episode. And I just, again, even though I'm not a big fan of Donna, I thought this felt good. And seeing the two of them together was very powerful and very emotional. So, I very much like that. Now, the story and everything that was going on was just preposterous. I mean, it was just ridiculous. Yeah. And despite that, the fact that I was able to genuinely enjoy this episode, it just says a lot about, who they had in there, the casting, and how the energy of it carried so much of this episode for me. So much more than what was happening. I really did not like the Muppet-esque MEEP. I was immediately suspicious. Eric, you said you didn't see that twist. Immediately suspicious of the MEEP. I just right away, I was like, that thing's evil. I just knew right away. I just knew it. And what are the patrol agents that were coming up? Not the unit team. I mean the two green aliens.
Yeah. The bug aliens.
The Rorth Warriors.
The Rorth Warriors. All right. First of all, folks, I'm a big fan of an old television animated show called Invader Zim. And there are two, the tallest, the leaders of the Irkin army, they look exactly like these things. It was, I mean, right down to, what do you call the like claw weapon things that they had, little bulbous claw weapon? You go back and watch Invader Zim, the Irkin leaders look exactly like, and there's two of them. There's a pair of them. It looked exactly like these two. So I was already going, what the? Wasn't a huge fan of the Beeps. They were bringing in live action Invader Zim, the tallest. I was just having a hard time with the aliens here in this episode. Trying to hang with it.
What's the name of that show again?
Invader Zim. Oh my god, I love.
Yeah, I'm aware of it, but I've never watched it before.
Yeah, I used to like it a lot. I haven't seen it in a long time.
I love Invader Zim. But anyway, so it's been a long time. Don't watch the last one though. Watch all the ones except the last one. Anyway, so but as usual, I've always found Doctor Who aliens kind of campy and whatnot. So even though that they look like the Irkin leaders and all that foolishness, it still felt like classic modern Doctor Who to me. And even that, brought something in here. The introduction of the trans character. I'm going to say I thought the introduction was a little heavy-handed for this character. I appreciate the representation, and I think it was important. We need everybody in Doctor Who, and certainly this is an exciting opportunity. But there were things that I thought were incomplete or rushed about her introduction here. Now, first of all, that she was supposed to be 15. Come on now. I mean, I don't feel that. Even though, we saw her friend, peeking out of the window through the whole episode. So I'm assuming that's supposed to be her classmate. I could not get used to the idea of her being that young. But more importantly, right, again, I'm down with representation and everything. But like so many other things in this episode, her introduction really felt rushed. And there's some things that, if you're going to do it, I want to savor it. I want to appreciate the introduction in a way that I don't think they gave her enough of in this episode. And let me back up and let me touch on something that Josh was bringing up. I had some feelings about it, and let me try to unscramble this too. So, yes, we'll go back to the scene where enhanced Donna is there with Rose. And, she is channeling the power that brought her back to life and all of that stuff. And she throws down the line about, you'll never understand, Doctor, or you won't understand as male presenting and what all of that. I felt that was a little awkward. I felt that was a little harsh. But let me tell you why. And again, there are ways that if we had slowed things down, I think the impact would have been more significant. So let me try to unscramble this. It hit me hard when she said that initially, not just because I'm a man, but the Doctor was just a woman, So I mean, for her to drop that line, let me back this up in a couple of ways. The first thing is surprisingly. Again, you all know Doctor Who history a whole lot more than I do. But one thing I have noticed is the Doctor-empowered women tend to carry their power and authority with more grace and more control. Okay, so think about all of the Doctor-empowered women, even the evil ones. But anyway, all the Doctor-empowered women do control their power better. The male Doctor's always raggedy and discombobulated and leaking power and jacking stuff up. I mean, it's part of the fun of their energy and part of the fun of their character. But every time you think of the Doctor's daughter, think about empowered Donna. Think about what's her name? When the Master was a woman. Each of these times, these women control.
You're making me think of Romana as well.
Yeah, I was thinking of Romana as well.
Ronnie.
Think about Fugitive Doctor. Every woman Doctor carries the energy with a lot more focus and grace that would lead me to believe there might be something to the fact that women doctors have a more balanced control over the force. And what really bothers me about this is I felt that I was very excited about the prospect of 13th Doctor. I was very excited about the prospect of having a woman doctor because I wanted to see something different and powerful and unique about her take on the perspective of what the doctors were. And for her to come out as an equally raggedy, discombobulated doctor, I feel like they genuinely missed an opportunity, so many opportunities with her. So here we go. We find ourselves in this scene where once again we see empowered, doctor level women expressing that power. The scene she's trying to channel what she got to her daughter and why that made so much sense. Even the binary line, all of that. Again, if we had respected, so the problem is I feel like we missed an opportunity with 13th Doctor because if we had gotten a chance to genuinely see women-powered or women-empowered doctors bringing us something different, she would have been consistent with the other women-powered doctors, which would have more synchronized this idea that the women genuinely have some kind of a resonant energy control that is a little bit more disciplined than what we have seen from the guys. That would have been consistent, and additionally would make even more sense that young Rose here has an additional ethereal power over this force because she's non-binary. She would be able to channel that same energy discipline that was going on. So it just brought back what a missed opportunity we had with Jodie's 13th Doctor, because that is really what I was expecting to see all through her tenure, and we never got to see any of that. So, all right, so back in the moment where, the ladies are going off on the Doctor, again, if I had seen some demonstration of Jodie 13th Doctor harnessing the power that apparently every other superpowered woman in Doctor Who has had that discipline, it would have felt more consistent and it would have flowed better for me. And again, empowering a non-binary person would have been consistent with the energy force that we had seen throughout the other incarnations of women like doctors. That would have made so much more sense, and it would have had less of a 10-year impact when she said that line to our favorite doctor here. So that is why I had a real problem with that. I didn't see quite the same thing that Josh did, but that hit me wrong when that happened.
Carl, I want to take a straw. I want to stick it in your ear, into your brain, and suck out all that stuff and put it in my brain.
Okay, well,
I want fan art of that image now.
You can, and you know what? And then we can put it on Criterion, and you can do the commentary.
Well, I'll say regarding that issue with that particular line, one, it was just typical corniness from RTD. Just the music, especially, I thought was just terrible. But for an episode, and for Doctor Who in general, that always tries to be a fairly inclusive show, that line just felt like it was a little bit out of step with what they were trying to push for the rest of the episode. And yeah, why needlessly alienate a certain section of the fans? I mean, I wasn't particularly bothered by it, because that to me just feels like typical new Doctor Who kind of dialogue they just throw in there for jokes, I think. But I can understand why it would piss off, Josh and maybe some other folks. And I just don't know why they would want to put in that sort of negativity with overall such a positive kind of message that they have in this episode.
It's consistent with Donna's crassness. She will always smack around that kind of thing. But, for this particular topic in this particular context, it really, it fell kind of flat. But,
yeah.
Yeah, Carl, I think you put it beautifully there. I really do. I think you put it beautifully. It fell flat. And it felt more like it was stuffed in versus, something that had, just as you say, like if they had set that up in some way, again, two different showrunners, whatever, but set it up. Don't throw this at us now. It really just felt like trolling to me. And you can see the reactions out there on it. Again, like I want to make this clear. Like, it doesn't necessarily piss me off because the target audience for Doctor Who is not me. So it doesn't piss me off, but I felt like it was, we're talking about the episode, and I want to make sure that if I'm giving an opinion on the episode, that I brought this up, that this is a scenario whereby he is pushing the envelope as far as he can push it, and the reasoning behind him pushing the envelope is clear as day. It has nothing to do with writing for the BBC. It has nothing to do with anything. It is his own views that he's pushing through. And, it's happened before. Except it's happened for something like Robert Holmes in The Sunmakers, hating to pay taxes. Like from that perspective, like the Green Death is a perfect example. Everybody seems to bring up the Green Death, how that was like anti-pollution and all this other stuff. It's like, yeah, but you made a good story out of it. You didn't just shove, this stuff like right in our face without and really just doing it on purpose just to make people react to it. You're doing it because it's part of the story.
Well, let me go back to something that Eric was pointing out also, and I just kind of want to dovetail what I'm saying about this. The introduction of the trans character, and as Eric was saying, how this plot crescendoed in a way that really included her. It made sense, surprisingly, the way that they brought in the binary line or whatever. Again, I thought it was a little heavy handed, but the point is again, if they had stretched out just a little bit, if they'd been just a little bit more subtle about that, I really am surprised at how well they were able to integrate the idea of a trans character into the story. That the broader story of what was going on in terms of the transition of the energies, in terms of what happened with Donna. I really was surprised at how well conceptually that worked. Again, I think they were a little heavy-handed in the implementation, but given this episode and how much stuff that they were cramming in here and the compressed nature of it all, that I was also rather surprised about. And I thought, in theory, was pretty interesting that it fit. Pretty interesting that it fit.
Yeah, I agree there. You didn't need the lines at the end.
But there's another thing.
Because they had already established everything that made sense around it. And it was a brilliant movement of the story based on the characters, the way the character sees themselves. It worked. But you don't have to throw in the extra. I'm just saying, you already got to pass the goal line.
Well,
you don't have to have unsportsmanlike conduct.
Well, modern Who.
Okay, it's already past the goal line.
Modern Who is not often known for subtlety, so I get that.
So Josh is talking about NFL football.
Okay. So another thing I want to talk about.
Yeah, but can he guess my favorite
hold on. Let me
music
just
genre? I'm just going to say.
Oh dear,
okay,
I'm sorry. That's a Best Picture reference. No, but let me just chime in real quick because I had to control myself from interrupting Carl's long take.
Thank you.
Just because I thought Carl's overall long take was a seriously hot take, and like Sean, I loved that, Carl. That was incredible.
Always.
That is why I saved Carl for last, and he did not disappoint. I love that. And when you talk specifically about the part of the missed opportunity the Jodie Doctor and how it could have made this all fit together even better. Oh, that's incredible. Yeah, I agree 1,000,000%.
Look, I just got to throw this out because I've said this before. How are you going to make the first woman doctor have crappy outfit? How the hell do you know? I mean, simply the simplest, lowest common denominator, minimum thing we could have done was just give the doctor very cool outfits.
Yep.
Yeah.
If she had even rocked,
How about cool dialogue? Like good dialogue.
look, I'm
settle down, Michael Kors. No,
I'm just keeping it simple here. If
I
she
like
even
her
rocked,
outfit.
if she had even rocked Capaldi's suit, she had a dignity and a great when she first transitioned, and she's wearing Capaldi's a suit with the red insert. She looked cool and dignified, and and I was like, man, this is going to be a cool new doctor to see. And then they put her in that romper. That Wesley romper for the whole. I said, "Oh my god!" They just every opportunity they just shot her in the foot. But all right,
Yeah, Carl, they totally shot her in the foot, and they didn't give her anything great to do over that whole period.
No.
It was it really is the most disappointing thing about the Chibnall era is how bad those stories were, how bad the dialogue was, how bad the direction was, how bad the stories were.
I love her as an actor, and I know if she had gotten the right material, she would have excelled in this role. But
imagine if she had RTD behind her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like we probably would be talking about the amazing Jodie Whittaker era.
Oof.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
We sort of had me, Sean, and Carl. I mean, me, Sean, and Josh. Actually, we actually had a conversation a couple months ago that was in this frame. Except I forgot to hit record.
Oh yes,
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, but no, I've always also had my own version of what Carl was saying about Jodie's era. Not necessarily picking out the same points as him, but the same type of feeling that I had said in the past, some version of like if I was super pro female doctor, first female doctor, and I too, like Carl, had a bit of optimism at the beginning, thinking like, oh, I would like to see them do something different, and there's so many possibilities now with this casting choice. And I always imagined that if I was super pro first female doctor, I would feel extremely disappointed with how things turned out. And I do think it's really, really unfortunate. And that's not what I was expecting at the eve of the Jodie era. And yeah, the romper, if that was just like her kickback weekend clothes, it is what it is. But you're right, she could have been like this super cool, like I know people cosplay her actual outfit now, but I feel like it'd be off the charts if it went in a different direction.
Yeah, this feels like the right time to chime into. I was very curious, considering the fact that RTD made the choice, and I know his behind-the-scenes explanation as to why David Tennant not only regenerated his new face, but a new outfit as well. I was very curious to see how he was going to explain something like that.
Okay.
And I don't know if he's just not going to, or if it's going to come up in a later episode.
We talked about this on Doctor Who Gives a Fuck. And it bothered me. I always thought at first that the 10th Doctor had time traveled and somehow possessed Jodie Whittaker's body.
That's interesting.
Something like that. And then I was told, no, she just literally regenerated into him. But then they did mention it in this episode. Don't ask me for details, but it is sort of like, well, why did I regenerate into this? Again, that's weird.
Oh.
And this is what I don't like, or what I'm afraid of. That by the time we get to the third special with the toy maker, that it's going to be explained and it's going to be stupid. Because
yeah, that's fair.
RTD is like Stephen King. He's not very good at buttoning it up and making a good ending.
More like Stephen Moffat.
They all got to have sex and kill the spider or something.
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about if you've read it.
I know. Yes, I do.
Yeah.
But No, I just feel like there has to be some explanation. Even if it's stupid, I'll just be like, okay, well, it's RTD, not super unexpected that his resolutions would be kind of stupid at times. But at least some acknowledgement is what we're going to need there, and I know what his behind the scenes explanation was, that he, didn't really want to put that image out there because he thought maybe it would piss some people off.
Yeah.
But I don't really.
You mean if Tennant was wearing Jodie's costume? Is that what you mean?
Yes, yeah. He said that he was worried about putting out an image that could offend certain folks.
Okay.
And maybe I understand where he's coming from, but there needs to be some in-universe explanation.
Yeah, he should probably forbear that feeling for now, because I I heard his explanation for why Davros wasn't in a wheelchair in the Children Need Special. I'm like, really, Russell? Come on. But what I found offensive is that David Tennant had to wear a vest that only buttoned the one button. That drove me crazy.
I noticed that too. I was like, what the hell's going on there?
You are. Enjoy your body, sir. Button that thing all the way down.
Or unbutton it.
What?
Oops. Nothing.
Well, both on an OCD level and as somebody who doesn't have a stomach as flat as David Tennant, I was like, oh, you don't understand. So, yeah.
I like the skip buttons or open buttons, but maybe that's just me.
Yeah, but you like Sherlock's hair, Basil Rathbone's hair, and those early.
I stand by that too.
No, I'm sorry.
I do like his fussy hairdos in the earlier.
Getting bigger. There's one other thing I did want to mention about this episode, just to wrap things up.
Sure.
Again, it's buckshot, so I don't have this doesn't necessarily dovetail in. But I, as a fan of gadgets, I like the upgrades in this episode. All right, I know that sonic screwdriver was doing mess we have never seen before. The mime shields and the big screen and all that. I know that was gimmicky and it was ridiculous, but I just really, really enjoyed it for some reason. I don't know. I thought it was, but of course, come on, we haven't talked about it. But my favorite upgrade, folks, the TARDIS.
Yeah.
That I mean, I didn't know the TARDIS needed a bike path, but hey, that is a bright new TARDIS going on there. I did like it.
Yeah.
I got it. It's huge, unnecessarily large, but I did like I did like it. So
it is the best. It is the best set for the TARDIS ever.
It is pretty.
I mean, I love the Peter Capaldi set.
Yeah.
I think I still love it more than this one, only because it's got more character. But this set is just, I mean, this is going to be Shooty's set, you guys. This is Shooty's set.
Yeah.
Hopefully, but you know why you think it's the greatest set? Because it had the greatest establishing scene of a TARDIS of all time.
Yeah.
The way that he ran around and the camera just followed him, and I think it was all one shot.
The hills are alive.
Yeah, it was so cool.
I actually saw an interview with David Tennant on the set, and basically everything that you saw was mostly ad-libbed.
Oh, very cool. Oh,
like
wow.
He ran around that set, like he was a fan.
Yeah, I believe he suggested, like, he wanted to do a shot like that with him running around, and I think he cleared it with the director because, of course, they had to set up for that. But I think it was his.
But the set is pretty darn amazing.
I don't know. In terms of aesthetics, I'd rather have Paul McGann or Matt Smith set.
I know what you're saying, but like I'm looking at this like if you had the original TARDIS. This is a version of the original TARDIS.
Yes, the pre-Art Doctor's TARDIS.
Right.
It used to be clean. It used to be an Apple Store version. It's true. It is true.
Well, I'm still very partial to the William Hartnell TARDIS with a lot of stuff going on, some nice art pieces, that little like computer banks room. I love all that shit. So that's still
not the original William Hartnell one, but I believe RTD said that was some of his inspiration for this version. Not the classic series per se, but when they recreated the set for An Adventure in Space and Time.
Oh, okay.
And when he saw how it looked when it was presented, in color or, in the modern production, I think that's what put the seeds in his head that he wanted to make the new console somehow evocative of that, and which is why he returned to the color scheme.
And they did, but they made the console so much bigger. They made the console bigger. Yeah. They made the room much bigger. The other thing is, like, they used that Adventures in Time, Space and Time set. They used it several times in regular Doctor Who.
Of course, yes.
Towards the end of like the Clara era.
Yeah, I loved it.
And it looked beautiful. It looked like a beautiful version of that original TARDIS console room.
Yeah, my take on the new console interior is yes, I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
It is possibly my favorite in all of Who and all of New Who.
Oh, wow.
My longtime favorite has been the original Matt Smith one, and I still have a place for that one in my heart. But I think overall, and especially if this one sticks around for a while, I think this will probably end up being my favorite. I mean, sorry about the Jodie one. The Jodie one definitely felt a lot smaller terrible. And crowded for modern
and
Who.
Dark, and incredibly dark.
But I really like also with the new one that they brought back the levels.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it is incredibly massive, but for some reason I'm okay with it. I also kind of see little things from all the major TARDIS consoles from classic and new. I kind of feel like there's little references to all of them in a way, like subtly in this one. And yeah, it's fantastic. And I really hope we get to explore more eventually. It kind of weirdly, because it's so huge, it kind of weirdly reminds me of that shot early in the new series of Doctor Who, where, or maybe it was during the beginning of Tennant's run, where he was looking to change his costume from 9. And they do like that digital mat that shows like the insanely large wardrobe inside the TARDIS. But it was like how that looked humongous in that old episode of New Who. But this was like the real deal, like actually practically made to scale. That's what so it felt like a digital rendering mat that was like realized in full scale, and it's pretty amazing.
Again, no chairs, no place to sit down.
Yeah, I hope later we get like a coat rack and
a coat rack would be great. Yeah, I mean that's why I kind of like the early Capaldi one, you know, with the.
Love it.
I know you guys love it.
Multi levels with the books and the chalkboard and all that other stuff. Like
so great.
Like that's like to me like a combination.
I know you guys love that one
of the classical room from that started in Robots of Death plus the McGann one and like bringing in sort of the old version of it too. Like I just that one's still I think my favorite.
I know you guys love it. You've said it many times before, you and Caleb.
Yeah.
It's never sit right with me, that one, of all the ones in the new series. And there's something about how it feels like all the walls are just like a repeating motif. And I know the original New Who one was like that too, but it feels very samey
But
and
it also like feels... the roof is like the rotor going back and forth.
I like the roof, but I don't like the other things. And I like the little ramp that leads to the console from the door. I like that too. But everything else I don't like. And it always felt very contained in a stage. And I know that's how Classic Who was. But for my New Who, I like it to more feel like the actual control room of this, you know, mythical, fictional, sci-fi time-space vehicle. But yeah, I love it. And even though I know it's all the rage these days, the LED lights... I still like it. I still like them.
Yeah, it seems like it's a little over the top.
With the disco mode, you didn't know the TARDIS had a disco mode.
Yeah, exactly, Carl. Yeah. Like what they said was like the second Shooty walks in the door, like everything's going to be orange.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. I know they said in some of the VAM that they can.
Don't.
And who knows if we'll see this eventually, but they can program it, you know, to like scroll like letters and words.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt. When you see the effect that they pulled in the background, I was like, well, they're gonna do 8-bit animation on that coming up soon. They're just dying to do that already. You see,
Super Mario Odyssey.
Sean, did you say McGann's TARDIS was one of your favorites? McGann's TARDIS.
Yeah, and of course we only see about 3 minutes of it, but
You know what?
probably
Me too.
more than
Me
three.
too. Up until
I love
now,
it too.
McGann's TARDIS was my favorite. That classic library and wrought iron. That one actually felt the most reasonable for somebody that had his lifespan and would have been collecting stuff all that time. That TARDIS
Yep.
always felt the most realistically practical for a doctor to me. That has been my favorite all this time. So
And
this
when you see like the Seventh Doctor sitting down, like eating jelly babies and reading a book on that, like it just
Love it.
it
Yeah.
felt like
Yeah.
home.
and,
It felt
and
like
he's
home.
playing a record on a Victrola.
yeah.
Which he probably picked up at the time. You know, this stuff makes sense with the library museum nature of it.
No, I mean, of course, I like the Eighth Doctor console room, but something about it, why it's not my favorite or never has been, to me, it looks like if they did like a Broadway show for Doctor Who, it was like the stage.
Well,
set.
okay, Eric. That's exactly what it was, because it was an English program that was off the air for.
No, I understand, but it looks like it's
I'm pretty sure there were curtains somewhere in there. You're right, Eric.
yeah.
It
looks
definitely has that.
like it's designed to resemble like a massive Broadway stage, and then the whole stage is the TARDIS interior.
Yeah.
Which is fine, but that's just why it never sit right for me. And also, I haven't looked at it in a million years as it appears in the episode or the movie. But I also didn't like how you kind of don't see where the bounds of the walls of the console room, like it just kind of just goes into the rafters.
Yeah, that's normal.
And I can see how people could like that, but I like having my walls.
I just thought though that I think that I would love to see the TV movie done as a musical. It can be fucking
I
done.
could see it.
Oh, I thought you were going to say a theater show, but a musical specifically.
Think about like The Master.
Yeah, the super fade
I
version.
dress for the occasion.
Sean, it's your destiny to write that musical. It's your destiny.
But Eric Roberts must reprise the role, otherwise I'm not going to buy it.
No, he's
Well,
too old. He's too old.
Yeah.
I just watched the reveal on when I was kept it quiet and watched the reveal. This set is so huge. It's so massive.
Yeah.
Like I've never seen the set be this big. It just
I told you, it literally has a bike
Well,
path
for
around
Doctor
it.
Who.
You could just ride around it, the whole ramp.
yeah. I mean, it seems like they're preparing for Shirley. By the way, we didn't even talk about Shirley and the wheelchair and the
I was going to go
Bond
there.
stuff coming out of the wheelchair. Like I actually really dug that, and I like the Shirley character a lot. I brought up the fact that the discussion between the Doctor and Shirley was one of my favorite scenes in the whole thing. It just seems so like reserved and kind of like really beautiful. The way that was done, the way that was directed is beautiful.
Yeah, very genuine.
She had one of the best lines. Don't make me the problem. Just get in there.
I like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I love that. That was fantastic. And just, I feel like she's going to be in this TARDIS eventually because
I don't know.
they've obviously removed all the stairs.
No, I'm sorry. I don't want to be hit over the head with the whole handicap agenda. I don't think that I would feel comfortable with that.
I can't tell if you're being
I'm not-
sarcastic
Is
or
this
not.
a
Sean.
joke? Yeah, this feels like
No,
a
he's totally being sarcastic in what
Yeah.
I said. And you know what? I don't. I'm one of those people that don't mind. Having somebody sitting in a wheelchair. I don't believe that that's a big deal, and making that a big deal is something I really don't like.
Okay.
Okay.
But when it comes to all the ramps around the TARDIS, I don't know if you guys have gone back to much of the David Tennant era lately, but I'd forgotten how much not only he was running throughout some of the stories, but how often they would bring up the fact that he was running around.
Oh yeah.
They mention it all the time.
Oh yeah. Oh, I remember that.
Yes, of course.
Yeah,
Very
so
clearly.
when I saw the ramps, I was like, oh, there you go. He's going to be running around this thing for the next 3 episodes all over the place.
I think they have the ramps because they're prepping for like a future Dalek companion. That's what I think.
Oh, maybe it's new K9.
I swear to God, you strike that right now. You just text it because if they're not going to do that.
No, that was a horribly bad joke. No, what I found interesting about the Shirley character, like to me, it was just like, oh yeah, okay, she's there, whatever. Like it was just like she could have been any person in that role. So I didn't have really many thoughts one way or the other. But after the fact, when I was doing research for this discussion. I had no idea that she had previously worked as a voice actress in Big Finish, and that she had voiced a character named, oh crap, I can't read my writing. It's something like, oh dear.
You write it by hand?
What I wrote down looks like Hebe, but I think it's Hebby, and I know that's a word you're not supposed to say. I think it's Heb or Hebby. Harrison is her character's name. And in Big Finish, she actually traveled along with the Sixth Doctor and Mel for 10 Big Finish stories. And she was a companion in audio form that was in a wheelchair. And I thought, oh, that is super cool. Now I think it's really cool that Ruth Madeley not only gets to appear on screen now in Doctor Who, but there is a connection to the character that she played in the Big Finish audio. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Oh, that is cool. Yeah, I definitely like that. I'll have to check out those audios.
What do you all think of the handling of Wilf?
I was wondering what was up with that.
I think they're saving it as like a surprise for like the third Tennant special.
Wait, what do you mean by surprise?
I agree with that. You're going to see him.
A reveal.
But isn't he dead?
Nope, he's not dead. Even they just said that he wasn't. He's dead now.
But
the actor is dead now. But
Wilford Brimley or whatever his name is.
Yes.
Bernard Crimmins, not Crimmins.
I'm quite certain he passed well after all shooting was completed.
Yes.
For these specials, so he was alive.
Oh, he did.
Wait.
Yes. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, this.
Oh, I thought he died before.
These specials were shot over a year ago, and actually, they're right now in production. Bad Wolf Productions or whatever. I think they're right now currently wrapping on shooting the 2024 Christmas special with Ncuti Gatwa.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. They're starting actually his season 2.
Okay.
Wow. So
they've actually begun shooting on his season 2.
That's interesting.
So real old Bernard Cribbins could be in this.
Oh wow.
I think they're saving it. I think they're saving because that's like the whole thing, how they sort of set up for this 3-story arc. It's like we're on a quest to get to Wilf, but we have to go the long way.
Yeah, we're gonna see him. There's no doubt about that.
You know what? This is my prediction: is that the toy maker, is that the name of the toy maker, or is it Toy Master?
Yes.
I don't remember.
Toy maker. It's not the Game Master.
It's the Game Master.
There you go.
It's Doogie Howser, MD.
He's taking possession of old people's homes, and so Wilf and Ian Chesterton are in the old people home together.
Chesterton.
Yeah,
Chesterfield.
Chesterfield.
And they're gonna fuck.
You're
like William Hartnell. Sean, you are William Hartnell.
I said Chesterton.
Cheddarton.
It's Ian Chesterton.
Not the first time you didn't say that the first time.
Cheddarton is. I'm pretty sure I heard that from Sean.
Chesterfield.
I think you said Chester Gummy.
Okay, I'm just gonna sit here and be quiet. You all can talk.
No. Though, if that didn't in fact happen, Sean, that would be incredible. I would love that if that actually happened.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen,
I'd like that
and it's
too.
gonna suck. It's gonna suck.
Hey, we saw him.
It's gonna suck.
You already think the giggle is gonna suck.
The what is gonna suck now?
The giggle. That's the name of that. Isn't that the name of the third episode?
Something gig. Yeah,
That should be for Celestial Toymaker. That one.
It's either it's going to be pretty good and the last 10 minutes will suck, or it'll just all suck because that's RTD.
Oh, can we all agree that that the MEEP's boss is the Celestial Toymaker? Can we all agree on that?
Yeah.
I think it's a possibility. I don't know for sure though.
I mean, unless it goes into Ncuti's time.
Well, that comes down to the question of, because at the start of this, I wondered, like the Doctor just randomly lands right beside Donna and comes up to her. I kind of wondered if maybe somehow he was being brought here by the Celestial Toymaker.
Yeah. I thought it was the TARDIS.
Well, it seems like,
or I mean,
in the early trailers, it was like our destinies are, Donna's destiny and mine are converging or whatever.
Now, it could have some. Okay, I was kind of thinking a little bit like in a Marvel MCU kind of way. I know half of the room won't know what I'm talking about, but sort of like what Doctor Strange was foretelling during like Infinity War. I kind of feel like the TARDIS might be taking like the Doctor Strange role, which is the TARDIS kind of knows something important is down the road.
Oh no.
And so it induced them getting back together, Tennant and Donna.
Well, the face, right? So the Doctor's face went to Tennant's face for a reason.
That as well. Yes, that as well.
So you're saying the TARDIS had a hand in Jodie's regeneration into David Tennant?
Because something.
Oh no.
I know, Caleb. I'm there.
But that
Caleb.
it is because the TARDIS is aware that something down in the future is going to require like this setup. That's the theory I'm going with right now. And no, I haven't given it that much thought.
I mean, there's clearly something there. Again, like what we haven't seen from Wild Blue Yonder, which is next Saturday, is that the TARDIS apparently runs away.
Yeah, only Eric's gonna get this, but maybe it's Aowa. Maybe they're stepping in to direct the Path of the Doctor.
Thank you for that very discreet,
Yes.
bespoke reference that was only for me.
Esoteric reference.
Esoteric.
Yes, but speaking of next time, and no spoilers, and nobody even needs to go look for this.
Oh no.
But there was a next time trailer for the next episode that you had to watch separately, like on the official Doctor Who YouTube.
Yeah, you had to watch it on you. If you were watching on Disney Plus, you would not have seen it.
Or if you were watching on the BBC, you wouldn't have seen it either, or the iPlayer.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so you have to go look for it. But it's only about 15, 20 seconds at the most. And it is the most spoiler-free teaser trailer I have ever seen for Doctor Who.
Yeah, it's pretty spoiler-free.
Thank goodness, finally. I used to always have to skip them.
The only thing you can parse out of it, really, is an idea for what the setting of the episode is going to be. And even that doesn't really tell you much, even if you know what the setting is. It doesn't...
There's all kinds of rumors.
Yeah, but this is the most teasiest we're giving you. There's not even dialogue in it, I don't think. It's the teasiest little teaser trailer you've ever seen. It reminds me of how movie trailers nowadays had the teaser for the teaser. This feels like the teaser for the teaser. So.
Well, not going to need a teaser because we're going to be able to see it in a couple days anyway. So I'm happy with the fact I don't know much about it.
Yeah,
that's good. I mean, again, like I have high hopes, quite frankly. Still, because it's still more. This episode was more Doctor Who than I've seen in years, and it feels like home. Even with the things that bother me, it still feels like home to me. From the standpoint of, let's say 2005, nothing's gonna be 1979 to me right now. But sadly. But from a 2005 perspective, it really feels like we're back there. And we're going to get a cracking story, something good, something that's Doctor Who-y, versus what we've seen in the past. I mean, at some point, we should just compare the RTD 3 episodes to the entire Jodie Whittaker era. And dive down into that pool for a little while.
I would definitely take some Jodie stuff over some of the stuff here. But, for instance, I was going to ask, did you guys like the return of the Shadow Proclamation? I always found that so lame. Such a weird thing that RTD throws in there. When the Doctor pulls out his little wig, I was like, oh, come on.
I like the little wig. It brings back Stones of Blood.
I like the wig. I have no problem with that. But just saying Shadow Proclamation, on the one hand, I never needed that in the first place when it first came around over and over. But to add to that feeling of we are back to Doctor Who circa 2009 or whatever, fine. Okay. And that's all I got to say.
Well, the other thing is what it did was it gave us, the reveal on both sides of this thing. The fact that he brought it up is an indication that both sides would have stopped and possibly had an agreement. I don't know how else he would have done that. I think the Shadow Proclamation actually works for this scenario here.
Yeah, I think that's actually fair.
Because for the reveal itself, it really worked extremely well.
Yeah, until the Doctor and Donna, right after those 2 guard guys get shot, they run directly into the line of fire of the MEEP. Like, okay, just shoot us next.
Somebody should have just shot the MEEP right there. That would have been fine by me.
Let me just bring up a few last bullet points I have on my list, and then I'll be done.
And then we'll rate it.
And then we'll talk about one more thing, and then we'll rate it.
Okay.
Real quick, thing on the plus side, and then my two minuses for the episode or the story. On the plus side, yeah, if anybody knows me, I was heavily interested and invested in seeing Doctor Who in 4K for the first time, or
Oh yeah.
released originally in 4K for the first time, and the
Yeah.
HDR or Dolby Vision, and it did not disappoint.
Nope.
I loved it. It looked amazing, even though Doctor Who's been in HD since 2010. This is UHD, and I totally see the difference.
Yeah.
While so many of the elements of like the effects and the action sequences were very RTD's era, it was completely with a fresh coat of paint. Probably the only effect that wasn't great was the stupid cracks in the earth. But again, that feels very RTD, so that tracks. But just overall, extremely visually impressed. If this is what Disney money buys,
Yep.
then I'm fine with it.
Just about to say that. Clearly the most high budget Doctor Who ever made.
Yeah. Especially again the opening title sequence there. I think that just looks incredible.
That was pretty.
Yes, that was going to be. We'll skip to that. That was the last thing I was going to bring up. Yeah, like what do you guys think of the opening title sequence?
The logo is the only problem I have with it, and I love the diamond logo. It just wasn't brought out the way I would like it to be brought out. Like it just seemed very clunky to me.
Are you're being serious?
Yeah, I'm being completely serious. I thought it was clunky.
I almost thought you were. I thought you were making a reference to another Doctor Who podcast where I heard that opinion.
No, I believe I believe what I'm saying. I thought it looked amazing, and then the way they brought out the logo, I was kind of expecting it more to feel like 1976, and it didn't.
Okay, I see what you're saying. I heard that opinion on the other show, and I hear you now. And I went back to go look at it more specifically. It seems okay to me, but I must be missing something, or I need to revisit more classic title sequences to really get a grasp.
Yeah, I mean, look at I was assuming, and again, like, I could be way off here, but I was assuming we were going to sort of go back to sort of the Tom Baker era. When I saw the diamond logo being reintroduced, like, I felt like I was going to see something similar to what I saw in 1975-76, but in a 2023 methodology.
Correct me if I'm wrong, because I haven't looked at it in a while. During the original sequence that has that diamond logo, did the logo come as if it was passing from behind you and then appearing in front of you?
No.
Oh, okay. Sorry. That's okay. Then I don't remember. I have to go look at the old one again.
No, it was like a tunnel. And then
no, I remember the tunnel, of course. That absolutely.
But then you see the Doctor's face,
right?
The TARDIS, and then you see the logo come in right in the middle of the screen.
But my point is, I don't remember how it appears.
But it fades in.
Okay, so I have to look at it again. But just for me, going back to re-examine the new one, it seemed fine. That element seemed fine to me, and overall, it might be my new favorite of the new series.
Oh, interesting.
And one of my favorite overall. The best before this one, well, for me anyway, the infamous, or not infamous, but the notable Matt Smith Series 7B.
7B?
Yeah.
I love 7B.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I like that as
one
well.
they used for the shortest, briefest time, which bothers me because it was one of the coolest of the new series.
It really was. I agree with you. It's one of my favorites too.
And replaced by one I really didn't like.
Terrible.
Yeah, which is the Capaldi one.
Yes, the YouTube made Capaldi one. And I have to admit, perhaps one of my favorite things to come out of the Chibnall-Whittaker era, when Chibnall finally let it happen, because remember, he didn't want to have that in his first Jodie episodes. But I have to admit, the Jodie Whittaker opening title sequence, I mean, it's pretty straightforward and to the point. But I also thought that one looked really, really good as well.
Yeah. I heard another podcaster say when the Jodie Whittaker one came out, he said it was so refreshing not to have the soundtrack sound like wasps in a jar.
100%. Yeah.
And every time I watch that Capaldi, and I can't think about wasps in a jar, and I kind of like.
Sounds like birds to me.
Yeah.
It sounds like birds.
Yeah, and I'll say as much as I love the visuals here, I do wish they would have had Segan Akinola back doing the music, because I don't know, there's something just about Murray Gold's version of triumphant music that to me just sounds, I don't know, really corny and bad.
You just don't like Murray Gold.
Man,
Oh,
you
he really doesn't
clearly,
like Mark. He really doesn't.
No, he's my least favorite part of New Doctor Who by far.
I mean, to me, this version of the theme tune is like kind of a combination of what we heard at the beginning of New Who,
Yes, very much so.
and kind of like, as a matter of fact, like underlying in the tones is all the same thing as 2005.
Right? Yeah. That's what I.
But
Yeah.
I mean, I actually like this version very much.
It was nice. I liked it. Not my favorite of New Who, but it was perfectly fine. I forget. Did it have that roll-in that they started? I think during the Moffat area. Like it wouldn't start. It would have the. Oh, I can't remember how the.
It was more
preamble-
like dun 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 dun, sort of. It didn't have the Moffat like Matt Smith version at the beginning.
Right. It had that preamble that they added, which I can't
yeah.
think of right now. I wasn't sure.
And I hated that when it first started, but I got really used to it.
Yeah, I
and
got
really started to love it.
Yeah, I felt the same way. About that. Carl, any thoughts on the opening title sequence?
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's I'm listening to you all talk about all the subtleties of the past ones, but it was buttery rich. The resolution was eye splitting, and the motion, seeing the TARDIS skirt along the nebula gas, it was just beautiful. It was really, dimensional and pretty.
Yeah, it was like if the original RTD opening title sequence was like the PS1 version.
Yeah.
This is like this is the PS5 startup. Very much. And actually,
that's a good point. Yeah, it did feel like that.
I started thinking PS5 because when we were talking about the hugeness of the new console room, and I was kind of thinking, it's almost like a PS5 aesthetic upgrade, also in size and gargantuanness. And also, like the Jodie one, it looks very 4K, which of course I like.
My favorite will remain Hartnell. Just sperm shooting up.
There you go. Absolutely. The Holoran effect. You love that.
Sorry, not everybody.
Again, like the Tom Baker one is my favorite. It's what I started with. So
it's a really good one.
Yeah, and certainly for just the appearance of Doctor Who logos in the new series specifically, definitely this is my favorite. It's not even close on the other new series logos for Doctor Who.
Yeah, I mean, because it really is truly the 70s logo. 100%.
Well, that's definitely part of my opinion, but I just never liked.
No, never.
Actually, I never really liked any of the new. I never liked any of the new versions. Now that I think about it,
yeah,
not the RT, not the Moffat, not the Chibnall.
No.
Yeah, I agree. I never liked any of those. And it's funny because like the diamond logo is just it seems so old and so on and so forth, but it really does work here. And
yeah, and especially with like the 3D grading, definitely just makes it even that much better.
And in 10 years' time, we'll have the what you get from like the JNT era that will reappear at some point in 10 years.
Hey, there you go.
Do you mean the neon light, or do you mean the
neon light? Yeah, the neon light.
That was my original.
I used to draw that.
And the only final point I had on my bullet points.
Gosh. Lieutenant, yes, what else is it?
I've got one more too.
I only had everyone else is free to have their final points. I just wanted to get mine out and be done with it. But the last thing was there was only two minor things that I didn't like in the episode. Yes, I also did not like the aesthetic or appearance of the Rarth warriors, because to me they looked like a cross of the old school Ice Warriors crossed with whatever the heck those creatures are from Land of the Lost.
Sleesack. Thank you. I was thinking that too.
That's so funny.
Unless it was going to be like a direct reference, because obviously I saw them on the poster and I didn't like what I was seeing. I thought almost also they were like some kind of proto-Silurians or something.
Interesting.
Yeah, I just wish it was something that didn't remind me of those things I just mentioned.
Yeah.
Carl, no offense, but I see more Sleesack than, and I looked up the creatures that you thought they looked like. Man, it's more Sleesack.
You're leaning toward the sleeve stack. I can see that.
Yeah.
I still because it's two of them though. I still got the tallest on mine, but I do see the sleeve stack, no doubt.
Those things scared the hell out of me when I was a kid. I don't know what was wrong with me, but go ahead. Sorry.
So I didn't like that. And then the other thing was just when the Doctor and Donna were inside the bowels of the spacecraft, which kind of,
Oh man,
not directly but indirectly reminded me of like Flash Gordon, whether it was the classic or the 70s movie. It just it doesn't look like it, but it reminded me of it. But during that scene, and then where the glass wall or partition comes down,
Oh yeah.
I just didn't like that contrivance.
no.
I just didn't.
Yeah.
I get the purpose is to split them in the room and have them have to work together because now the Doctor can't access all the. But even if that's the purpose, I don't like the contrivance of the purpose either. Like the whole thing about it, I just wish there was a different way to execute the point that they were trying to make.
Yeah.
When I saw that, like I rolled with it, but it reminded me of watching Galaxy Quest when Tim Allen and Sigourney Weaver come across those big hammers. Come on, and she says,
yeah.
"There is no reason for this to be in the ship."
Yes, you're right.
It was like that.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm used to this shit. Whatever.
You know, you're so right, Sean.
At least he didn't take the sonic screwdriver like Matt Smith would and
There you
go,
go.
"Whoa, it's all fixed. Let's get out of here."
So yeah, you're right about the Galaxy Quest reference. I totally agree. I hate it being there. I wish there was a better way to get the point across of what they were trying to do.
Yeah.
And it also just weirdly made me think of Spock's death scene in Wrath of Khan.
Yeah, that's what a guy.
And also reminded me of the End of Time when Tennant had to like
100%.
do like a Superman 2 when Superman, remember, like lost his powers and then tricked Zod. And I like those other things I just brought up, but it just all seemed weird. So if you just fix those two things, I just would have been like, oh yeah, overall good episode. Those are only niggles. And I'm done with my formal points.
Yeah, I was waiting for Tennant to start knocking on the glass for that little callback.
Oh, don't even dare.
I thought of it too. I thought of 4 knocks.
That would have not been good.
Yeah, but if there's one thing I never liked about RTD, is I always felt like whenever it came to technobabble, he would never do it in a natural kind of way. He always did it as if he was making fun of the fact that, oh, we have technobabble. And so he'd overdo it to the extreme. And I feel like during these moments when they're all just rattling off this nonsense, it's kind of like, okay, come on. It's almost like you're throwing this right in my face, how ridiculous the technobabble is. But maybe that's just me. I don't know.
No, I got a hint of it. Didn't bother me like it did you, but I sensed it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it was just triggering that old annoyance from back in the day. And even them just saying the Dr. Donna, I was like, oh, don't say that again. It just played so stupidly for me during Journey's End. And just to say it again, I was like, oh man.
Oh, you bring up a good point though. This wasn't on my list, but you reminded me because a lot of other people have opinions about this. A lot of people just wanted the Dr. Donna story because they felt it was so well done in the first place, just to leave it alone and not to revisit it.
Oof.
But for this to be like the out or explanation on how we're going to bring her back and bring her back to herself and restore her memories, I'm not invested in this aspect of the show or the series. So for me, who doesn't have a dog in the hunt, I thought it was fine. I thought it was good enough. I don't have qualms with that aspect, but again, I'm not tightly tied to this point. I don't know if you guys have different feelings about that.
I just hope it's over. I thought it was terrible the first time around. I wish they had not brought it back, but if they're going to, I hope this is the end.
Come on, you saw they let it go because they can.
Yeah, should have cut in the song from Frozen at that point.
Yeah, oh, definitely. Oh, that would have been fantastic. No, they let it go. It's gone. It's done. We can move on with our lives.
Oh, and by the way, just seeing the regeneration image that they would always do in the RTD era with the flames coming out of the head, I was like, oh yeah, even that feels old school. I can't remember if Jodie did that too, but I never particularly cared for that in New Doctor Who.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know why they settled on that.
Jodie definitely did it, and she had a more, let's say, very deliberate hand motion when she regenerated.
Oh, well, maybe I don't remember this.
It was very staged kind of hand direction when she did it.
I don't have many thoughts on that, but when it first happened in the new series, certainly jarring. But over time, I guess that whole effect grew on me.
Oh, really?
It is what it is.
Yeah, it did. And when they used to tease it, like when they were teasing like the Doctor was going to regenerate during Tennant's time, like it worked on me. I remember that's one of those other periods when I was super plugged into Who fandom or new Who fandom.
Yeah.
And I just remember that was one of those weeks between episodes where I was just like torturing myself, racking my brain, trying to think how they were going to resolve it in part 2. Like,
it's interesting.
It was killing me because I was so invested at the time. But yeah.
Oh, and the last thing that I had was, despite me loving the visual of the new TARDIS, is it not kind of strange that it would start to just completely blow up just from some coffee getting spilled on it? Like, what's going on here?
I didn't like that either, but I guess we just have to go with the comedy relief of it.
Yeah, that was a little over the top, but whatever.
And why a coffee maker? Should have been a teapot.
Yeah, I mean,
well, I liked it was coffee. I mean, in a British, setting. I like that juxtaposition, me personally, because it doesn't make sense.
That's fair.
Well, the coffee did come out of a Mr. Fusion, so all of this ties back together. It all comes back.
Hey, you know what's nuts, Carl? I'm actually building in Lego the DeLorean.
Nice.
From Back to the
Future. Nice.
Did you get like the official set that costs like a lot of money?
Yeah, my wife bought it for a birthday present or something.
Yeah, I've been seeing those. They look cool.
And I've been working on it.
I thought you were going to say you're building on Mr. Fusion.
What part of it?
I have a final thought. I just want to be really gay for a second and
sure.
just
here we go.
I listen to these gay horror podcasts, and like they'll talk about a certain movie, and then they'll be like at the end, okay, who was the hottest guy in it? And by the way, straight guys could do this and say who's the prettiest girl in it. But
I know who Sean's pick is.
You could.
Well, let's hear what Eric has to say first.
Yeah, I think he'll probably be right.
Was it the soldier, the first one with the eyes?
Oh, sir. Eric, do you have a differing opinion?
I think it's a character named Colonel Chan.
What?
No. You know what? You're racist.
Is this a real character? Yeah. Where's Scott?
That's a real character.
Trying to think of who the hottest girl was in this.
Played by Jamie Cho. I didn't invent
I don't know who that is in this, but it's Josh.
I'll send you a headshot later.
It's that first head soldier.
I told you.
Yeah.
I knew it.
You know what? He looks like that guy from the Capaldi episode Time Heist. What was his name?
The implant.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Wait a second. That soldier's Colonel Chan.
Oh, really?
You guys are the racists.
No, that's funny.
So wait a minute. Is that the same guy? We all talking about the same person?
Yeah, like the head
he
of
has
the
glowy
unit soldiers.
Eyes. That's Colonel Chan.
Okay, maybe
he's played by Jamie Cho.
Well, let's. Should we start approaching the end here?
You guys made me feel like I was taking crazy pills for a second.
Oh, you always are.
Like, who's this other person?
Where did you see that? Because he wasn't in the credits. Because I looked that shit up.
It's an IMDb.
Great. Again with the Asians.
He was in Batman Begins.
So sorry.
Thank you. I was correct.
Oh no, let's move away from Eric being correct. Yeah, let's quickly skirt away from that.
Oh wait! I'm so sorry. One other thing. I want to know if there was any significance in putting the poster for the movie Red Dawn.
Oh yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah, I was wondering about that.
Oh, it wasn't even a poster. It looked like it was for like a concert or something because they had all these.
Right, it wasn't.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, it was not from the movie that we know. It was something else happening there.
Yeah, but I thought it was going to play into something, but there is not a clear connection that I can see.
And I thought maybe the guy sleeping on the couch was somebody. I just feel like that's an Easter egg.
No, I think Sean he mistakenly put on his Stephen Moffat hat instead of his RTD hat. I think is what happened.
Yeah, there's one more thing I wanted to mention, and actually Stephen Moffat would do things like this, which would annoy me too. The whole opening kind of recap with the Doctor and Donna just staring into the camera and giving their little speech of the backstory. Did you guys? I found that a little jarring. I thought that was a little strange.
It felt like a BBC America thing to me, but also my understanding is that was only on the Disney Plus version.
Okay.
And was not on the BBC version, I believe.
That's interesting. So I would have appreciated it more if we heard David Tennant's voice and we just saw the scrolling thing like we saw in Deadly Assassin.
Yeah, I would have appreciated not them looking directly in the camera. It was weird.
It was just a little bit too, it was too, facing us.
You're breaking my wall. You're breaking my wall with this.
Yes.
You're breaking my wall, exactly.
And it was also they were playing it as if they were still in the character. Like David Tennant, he looked very concerned. Like, I don't understand why I have this face. And I was like, oh no, you're just doing the recap. Don't be playing the character here.
You're getting paid. What do you care about it being your face?
Like, I heard it compared this way, like on YouTube, to like the Ahsoka series, meaning that if you just saw this thing pop up on your Disney Plus and you didn't really know what Doctor Who was or whatever, that it's just kind of like, what the heck am I even watching right now?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they should have named it the pilot.
And the reason I say this is because, all you got to hold your hand was that little thing you're talking about at the start, because I thought it would have made more sense and would have been nicer if they had included on Disney Plus, like some of the VAM that the BBC produced, if they had like even like a teaser trailer. There's nothing. It's just there on its own page. It's Doctor Who Special 1. And there's nothing to tell you like what the heck this is.
And they barely do anything marketing wise with it either.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just nothing.
It's weird and confusing. And so that's,
as a matter of fact, you can't even find 2, and I haven't looked today, but I would have put 2 and 3 on my watch list.
Yes.
But they're not even there.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, it's all a bit weird. I don't know what's going on there. but hopefully it's working. Hopefully people are checking this out, because I know a lot of people kind of left the show with Jodie.
I found it funny that certainly the British were in certain circles were saying how only 5.08 were in the overnights, which by the way beats any Jodie episode except maybe her first or one of the Christmas specials. But it has nothing to do with the 508 on the BBC. It has to do with what Disney Plus actually pulled out of that. We don't know that answer. It's kind of like Netflix. It's kind of, we don't get an overnight from Disney Plus.
Oh, right. Yeah. And that's how all the major streaming services are.
There could have been 20 million people watching it. We don't know.
Yeah. No, I don't think it will be.
It probably won't be 20 million, but you know what I'm saying. It's not. We're not talking about Game of Thrones here.
Yeah, of course.
But still, we don't actually know what this thing is built to be on Disney Plus too. It's definitely built on being on Disney Plus. So what the BBC got for overnights is not anywhere near as important as it used to be, say 10 years ago.
And also, it's Disney Plus worldwide.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. It's not just the United States or Canada.
Absolutely, for sure. Yep, it's worldwide.
Who knows?
Yeah, does anyone else have any dangling thoughts before we move to the end little summaries there?
We have to rate it, don't we?
Yeah, we will.
Yeah, rating it.
I know it gets into Ming Mong territory, but as brought up on Radio Free Scaro, it's neither neverwhere, but it's neither here nor there.
Neither never there.
Neither everywhere.
Neither neverwhere.
Thou liest the discontent in the garden of my lady.
But it is hard to fathom why some of the opening credits, not the opening credit sequence, but when you're already in the episode and it says directed by, written by, and also some of the credits in the closing credits, as well as when they list the companies at the very end, like Bad Wolf Productions and BBC.
Yeah, there's 4 of them. Yep.
No understanding why, but in the BBC version and the Disney Plus, there's slight differences in that in the BBC version, during the opening, once you're actually in the episode, they list like all 6 executive producers, where you don't get that in the Disney
That's
Plus version at the
fascinating.
start.
Okay.
And then in the closing credits,
Definitely Ming
Wait,
Mong.
can we put an edit in? I have to get my notebook and my pen to write this down for later.
What is the production code for this one?
that's why I said it's
Yeah.
Ming Mong territory.
Only
then- no,
even
hold on.
numbers, guys. Only even numbers. It's awesome. It's amazing.
And in the closing sequence, it's the same credits, but for some reason, on one of the versions, they list things in double line and not single
Oh
line.
my god! Oh
And
my
then
God.
and then where it says BBC and Bad Wolf Productions, for some reason they're switched places, like on the Disney Plus version
Okay.
versus the BBC. My point is, I don't care. It doesn't make any difference. But the fact is,
But you brought it up.
Yeah, it does to you. I swear to God, it does to you.
the part that befuddles me, though, this is the part that befuddles me. Not the differences, and they don't matter any which way. What bothers me, or that confounds my brain, is that some graphic artist actually produced 2 different versions that went out, and I have no idea why that needed to be. Because they obviously could have just had one version, like the BBC version, and nobody would have had ever thoughts about it. But someone actually created a different version.
Yeah, I just want to point out to all the others here that this is the gentleman who appeared on my Murder, She Wrote podcast and criticized the sound quality.
Did I? Oh, no. Hold on. You got to add context to that, because it just sounds like I'm a crazy person. It's
no context needed.
This 1980s Murder, She Wrote episode. Be more specific. More specifically, the background Foley for that particular episode somehow doesn't exist. So there's a scene where they're at a gala ball type thing, and there's all these people in the background dancing, and there's no sound effect for side chatter or music. You just hear the primary actors speaking like they're in a soundstage. So that was weird. I just had to add the context, otherwise I sound like a raving lunatic.
The reason that you're going to see something different is purely Disney Plus.
Okay, fine, but they could have just put the BBC version.
It's purely Disney Plus. It is. They have 1 million people on this, and what do they care if they're going to do something different?
That's fine.
They're going to do something different for whatever reason that they can figure out.
Yeah, because it's all the same information. It'd be like choosing a different font. Like why?
No, it just, this is a Disney. This does not surprise me at all, and it's likely a Disney Plus thing, not a BBC thing.
This is where we need to get some Patreons so we can hire a private investigator to figure this out for us. Eric needs to know the answer.
We need to resurrect Angela Lansbury, and she needs to get to the bottom of this.
There you go. I got the black magic.
So what? Oh,
I need to be there.
What is the unit of measure? What is the unit of measure?
I mean, obviously it could be a MEEP, but I kind of want to go with what was it called? Dagger Drive. What was it called? Dagger.
Oh, yeah. What was that? I think it was Dagger Drive. That sounds right to me. But
how many Dagger Drives do you guys give this?
No idea what that is, but I'll work it out.
Yeah, it's the propulsion. It was the propulsion.
What created the
lava quake?
Oh yeah. Okay, I know. I didn't know what it was called, but I know what you're talking about now.
The Doomsday device.
Yeah. Right, the Torchwood thingy. Okay, I got it.
That somehow the ground just repairs itself once you pull that. I don't know.
Right, exactly.
Right. That just felt super RTD. That poor effect. But anyway.
Yeah.
Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll go ahead and go with my Dagger Drive. I'm going to give it a comfortable 3 Dagger Drives out of 5. It's knocking on a 3.5. But for now, I'm just going to settle with 3 Dagger Drives out of 5. And it was fine. I look forward to better things in the near future, in future episodes. But it was a fine, okay start. And there you go.
Nice.
How many did you give it, Eric? I'm sorry.
I gave it 3, almost 3.5, but I'm sticking with 3 for now.
All right, I can go next. I'm going to give it 3.5, despite all the things that I'm... just because it's Doctor Who, and it felt like Doctor Who. And so the bar is really low.
You know what? Hold on. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Of course you're going to interrupt.
I'm retroactively going to upgrade to 3.5. You may continue.
He talked you into it. There you go.
Despite the message or whatever, It was just nice to watch a Doctor Who episode that felt like a Doctor Who episode. And I'm anxious to see what happens with Wild Blue Yonder and the Giggle. Definitely 3.5. Not the best thing in the entire world, but definitely felt like Doctor Who, and it felt like we were going back to 2008. With everything, and you cannot fault the direction in this or the script, for the most part. So that's how I feel about it, and I might change my mind down the road, but for now, that's how I feel. I guess Sean is next.
All right, if you say so. I don't usually rate things like this, but when I first watched this, it was a 4. But now when we're talking about it, it's a 3. Yeah.
What knocked it back for you? What knocked it back?
You know what? It's because when I watched it, I stopped thinking about it. And then I thought about it some more today, like when I was at work on Facebook.
Ooh.
And I...
on Facebook.
It sounds like you work for Facebook the way you said it.
Yeah.
Oh, no. My important job during which I was not cruising. I was on Facebook.
Oh, no.
You all right?
Freudian slip.
Where's Al Pacino?
But I thought... Are you okay there, Eric? You okay? All right.
Go ahead, truth teller.
Oh, good. I'm glad it was me and not just, swallowing down the wrong thing. That's a real compliment.
He's survived many intense laugh, so he's okay.
So yeah, but talking about it with y'all and like watching it 4 times, which is how many times I've watched it without the sound on since we begin talking, even pre-recording. Oh, you know what? It's what's that fucking episode with Matt Smith where all the doctors make an appearance?
Day of the Doctor?
Journey to the Center of the TARDIS?
No. It's something of the Doctor. It's like
Day of the
Doctor.
Like when he...
No, that's the 50th anniversary special.
Oh, I see what you mean. Was it the Name of the Doctor?
I think that's right. But
Series 7 finale?
The name of the Doctor. I think that's like this for me. Like the first time I saw it, I was having a total fan boner, and nostalgia boner, and I do think I was having a big night. I was having a big boner when I was watching this, but now like talking about it a few days later,
good Lord.
Thinking critically about it, it's not as good as 4 out of 5, and I think the next one's going to be better.
Hopefully,
and I swear I'm going to mark it now, and I'm not going to be dishonest and say it is. I think the next one's going to be better, and then the third one's going to be a piece of crap. Trust me, this is RTD. So yeah, that's all I got to say. And that Chinese guy, I guess I can say he's Chinese. Yeah, he gets a 5. That's all I got to say.
Wow.
Yeah, it's nice to get appearance of Madame Sean, the predictor of the future.
Strong prediction. I wouldn't have guessed the same thing.
It's Cleo. It's actually Cleo.
No, my friend. No, I'm dead.
No, I think that's an interesting theory. The way Sean predicts, like, how these episodes will be received going forward. I wouldn't have guessed that, but when he said it's RTD, I understand the logic of that completely. Oh, and I like how the actor Cho, his credit for Batman Begins is he played the role of the stocky Chinese man. Very interesting. But go on.
Yeah, he's thinned down over the years, it seems. Yeah.
It's okay. Description of the same guy who gives me my massages.
Okay, let's.
Oh dear. Okay,
I think I'll go next.
Let's bring it to Carl.
Yeah, oh, sure.
Yeah.
Returning superstar to MHC.
I guess you're last, Caleb. Sorry.
Hey, I'll take it.
I'm gonna go with consensus 3.5, folks. Simple as that. I agree. It was good to see the gang back together. I love the enthusiasm and the energy of this episode.
not my favorite, but despite all of that, it was just so much fun to see everything. 3.5 drives.
Yeah, and I hate to be the downer. I give it a 2.
Wah, wah. Oh.
I think the MEEP was just a strange choice to bring it back. And again, I would maybe be able to bump this up to a 2.5 or a 3 if it wasn't for my complete disdain for Murray Gold. Truthfully, he is really the deciding factor that makes me dislike so much of this era of Doctor Who.
If I were doing a Doctor Who podcast with you, Caleb, my thing would be take a shot every time that Caleb mentions Murray Gold.
Actually, Sean, I have to tell you something really quick.
What?
You are doing a Doctor Who podcast with Caleb right now.
That is true, yeah.
Well, no, but if we were regular co-hosts.
But even though New Who is not necessarily my favorite program, I always thought that David Tennant and Catherine Tate were a good pair, and seeing them again does, make me happy. So I'm hopeful that it'll maybe get to something I like a little bit more in this one. But yeah, for an opening to this era, kind of an odd choice for me. But there we go.
Closing out the show today, Eric.
No, I just want to say I'm glad we don't have to wait that long for the next stories.
Oh yeah.
I wasn't doing the calendar math ahead of time, so I didn't. I was programmed in my mind to think I'm gonna have to wait like another month or month and a half till the next story. So I'm glad it's right around the corner. And as much as I'm okay with this dip back into Tennant, I do actually want to get full on into the Shudigawa era as well at the same time. So yeah, looking forward to all of that.
We'll get there soon enough.
I don't mind.
And hopefully our next episode will not be far long after this one hits your feed. So let us know how we're doing. And until then,
comment below, subscribe, press the like button.
Yeah, leave us a review on iTunes. The old pull all the old things.
X TARDIS Tavern Tit on formerly known as Twitter.
You won't find anybody if you try.
Josh, you just gave me a jump scare when you jumped in. But until then, this is Eric.
This is Josh.
This is Sean.
And this is Carl.
And this is Caleb.
And until next time,
even if a weird furry animal comes out of a big spaceship,
don't panic. Yeah, by the way, Sean, go see the movie that's currently playing right now, Saltburn, if you get the chance. Oh my goodness, the love interest guy in that is just off the charts.
Okay.
Attractive. And it's a great movie. It's a great movie, by the way. That is true, yeah.
Well, no, but if we were regular co-hosts. Who the fuck is type? It's Eric. I know the sound of it.
Of course it's Eric. It's always Eric. Yeah.
That is straight up Kermit the Frog Muppet typing right there. You could just see the little fingers.
No, he just said he dropped from the call or whatever. He's trying to refresh.
Right. Or Jessica Fletcher on her keyboard and or on the typewriter at the beginning of Murder She Wrote. But yeah, I swear to God, Carl, I do see Kermit the Frog, and I don't. Yeah, it's like, what is he doing?
I know.
We'll be doing a podcast, and we're like, oh yeah, Robin Williams did that movie in 1983 with Terry Garr. What was it? And then you hear the noises, and he'll be like, oh, it's cold, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, well, thank you, sir. Thank you.